Hi there, Smart Drivers. Rick with Smart Drive Test talking to you tonight about holiday driving, answering any questions you have about passing a road test, starting a career as a truck or bus driver, or helping to keep you safe as a veteran driver is all of the things that we're going to talk about tonight. And as I said, we'll answer any questions. So if you're new here, be sure to hit that subscribe button. For those of you working towards a license or starting your career as a truck or bus driver, we can certainly help you out with that here on the YouTube channel or over at the Smart Drive Test website as well. Hit that bell, and that way you'll get instant notification when I get the videos up for you. And as well, if you could, hit the thumbs up button there if you like the live stream, the questions and answers, and everything seems to be working well. Corey is moderating. You can see Bricks for Wheels. That's Corey. He's moderating the live stream here and just helping to keep everything working smoothly and getting videos for you. And any of my fans who want to criticize or make inappropriate comments, unfortunately, Corey is going to ban them as well. So, hi there, everyone. Yifel, I probably didn't say that right. Good evening. How are you? Nakib909 is here as well. And so if you have any questions, so congratulations to all of the smart drivers who have passed their road test in the last week. Way to go. Lots of great work. Excellent in passing a road test and holding it together in terms of nerves and those types of things. And for those of you in the next week or so before Christmas here who have a road test coming up, good luck to you on that endeavor. And as I said, if you have any questions at all about your upcoming road test, I'm more than happy to answer any questions and help you with that. Especially, I know I have a few requests here for air brake questions and those types of things. And again, for those of you doing CDL training, commercial driver's license, truck or bus, there's an air brake course over at the website. And if you drop me an email, rick@smartdrivetest.com, I'll be more than happy to give you the 25% coupon for that. And for those of you who might be interested in passing your road test first time, you get 30% off on that course. So it's YouTube 30. You type that into the coupon box, you'll get that course for 30% off. So we're just kind of slow here. Things have slowed down a little bit before Christmas here, but we're certainly getting going. What have I done in the last week? If you haven't checked out the new video that I put up yesterday, check it out for sure. 5 crash tips for winter driving, and I give you some reasons why winter crashes occur and what is the reasons behind those. And as well, you may or may not know that I switched to Final Cut Pro 10 in the last couple of weeks in terms of making videos and whatnot. So my video production, I'm hoping, is ramping up a little bit, that my videos are a little bit better quality, and I'm trying to get you know, more to the point and those types of things in my videos. ABC, yes, you can email me by all means, rick@smartdrivetest.com, and I'll be more than happy to help you out with any queries you have or anything you need help with. Raquel, how are you tonight? Raquel, remind me again where you are in the world. I know you've been back a few times, so just let me know where you are in the world. So yeah, I'm doing right now what's called stalling while I'm sort of waiting for other people to sort of tune into the live feed here. And it's always an interesting balance between keeping, you know, kind of stalling a little bit for other people to show up, and then having people not drop off the live feed on me. So Lee is here. You work for the CBR terminal. Yes, I did, Lee. How are you tonight? That is great. I worked in the CBR terminal. Yes, okay. Absolutely. Well, isn't that interesting? Australia has caught up with me. That's interesting. That's really great. Okay. Upstate New York. Yes, that's it. Are you getting snow in upstate New York, Raquel? There you go. Yep, there's my email address. Rick at. Yes, that's correct, ABC. Canberra. Oh, okay. Lee, that is awesome. Yes, Canberra. My God. You know something, Lee? It has been 10 years now. 10 years. More than 10 years since I left Australia. Man, does time fly. Busy Bee. Hi there, Busy Bee. So if anybody has any questions about driving, winter driving, ask me anything about driving, actually. Driving truck, driving in the winter. Yeah, there was, the video was a lot of fun. It took me a long time to learn Final Cut Pro 10, but I'm feeling that my video is getting a lot better, which I'm very happy about. I'm also happy about my live feeds. And the other thing that I have planned is I'm going to get you a different wall in the background here. I'm going to get you something a little more interesting to look at than just my green screen and my bookshelf back there. So that's my other plan. Jackson, hi there, Mr. Rick. Is it advisable to do road test in the wintertime, and how long should someone stay away from the bike rider? How, do you mean how long, Jackson, or do you mean how far? Because ideally, if it's in a distance, you should keep 3 feet 1 meter away from any bicycles that might be on your road test. And yes, I do very much advise you to do your road test in the wintertime, because the road test is less exact in the wintertime. And have a look at the video here on taking your road test in the wintertime in the snow. And because one of the things I talk about in terms of parallel parking, you don't have to be 69 inches from the curb. You simply have to back in behind another vehicle. One thing that driving examiners don't like doing in the wintertime is they don't like pushing cars. So stay out of the snowbanks and don't get, don't get the vehicle stuck, and don't risk getting the vehicle stuck. Because if you do, what's going to happen is if you get it stuck, they're not going to push it, and unfortunately you're going to be over. So that's one of the things that you can do in the wintertime as well. You don't have to obey the road markings and those types of things because they're covered in snow and you can't see them. So you simply have to go off other landmarks and those types of things. But definitely have a look at that video there. Not very much snow, but it's very cold. Yeah, we got a good dump of snow here today. Not a lot. We probably have 3 or 4 inches, but we got a bit of snow. So. And there, Corey got the video for you, Jackson. So the road test video on driving in the wintertime. And there's a fair bit of snow there, you can see. And make sure you have good tires. And the other thing I recommend in terms of taking a road test in the wintertime is make sure you have good winter tires on your vehicle. And I would also recommend that if you can get a front-wheel drive vehicle or a four-wheel drive vehicle, then take one of those types of vehicles to take your road test on. I was just had a brain cramp there just for one moment. So, okay. So that's what I recommend in terms of taking your road test in the wintertime. So it looks like we're kind of getting a little bit slow here going. So what I'm going to do is I'll get started on the presentation here, and I'll go about halfway through it, and then I'll come back and see if anybody else has questions, and I'll come back to the questions and whatnot for you. So we'll just pop over there to that, and all right, I see somebody else might have a question here. Brillo Light, I was practicing today how parking, but in a place without vehicles around me. Is that a good idea? Brillo Light, to start with parking, yes, that's a good idea. But after you get a little bit comfortable with that, and you're comfortable with the primary controls of the vehicle, the steering and the throttle and the brake and those types of things, and you're feeling fairly comfortable with parking, I would also suggest, before you go out to the cars, go and get some of those 36-inch tall, 1 meter tall pylons and work with those as well, and then go and park with some cars, and that's going to help you out. It's just all sort of an evolution of your learning, right? And parking without cars is certainly going to get you used to the vehicle and whatnot. Edwin, how are you tonight, mate? It's all good there? Okay, so as I said, we're going to pop over to the presentation here. I'll get started on the presentation. Okay. Where is my presentation? There's my presentation. Here we go. All right, holiday driving. And I am Rick August, for those of you who don't know me. I've been a driving instructor for approximately 20 years. Most of my work in terms of being a driving instructor has been with CDL drivers, commercial driver's licenses with trucks and buses. However, I've done a fair bit of work with driver rehabilitation specialists for people who had debilitating injuries and were returning to driving. I did that as well. And I've also done a fair bit of car stuff. Now, and the other thing is anybody can tell me anything interesting about the thumbnail. There's a bit of a quirk to the thumbnail, so have a look at the thumbnail. You can study that while I'm giving the presentation here. See if we can go page down here. There we go. Okay, so last week, 2 weeks ago, I started a mastermind group on Facebook, and essentially it's just discussing general ideas about driving, anything that you want to talk about. Last week I did post a video of a truck crash on a bridge, a pickup truck, not a big truck, and asked what the reasons for the crash were. There was ice involved, so you can head over there, get into the mastermind group and share your knowledge. The other thing that's really good about this is for new drivers who are getting a license, if you're in a specific place, you can get information from other drivers about taking your license in that particular place, because I can give you general information about different places and whatnot, but I can't give you specific information about taking your road test in Arizona. I can't give you specific information about taking your road test in Canberra, where Lee is. I can't give you specific information about taking your road test in Germany or in the UK, whereas other people who are involved in the group can do that. They can give you specific information about different places and different authorities in the world. So it's really good for that, and as well we can share different ideas and those types of things. And one of the other bits of information that I talked about is that after you get your license, you can take your seatbelt off when you're backing up. Most legislation in the world does allow you to do that. Now there are a few places that don't, and you know, those are some of the bits of information and valuable information that we can share on a mastermind group. So by all means, go over and sign up for that, and you can find the link down in the description there. So holiday driving, parking lots at malls and shops are going to be insane. So before you go out the door with your wallet and your keys and you're herding the family out and everybody that's aunts and uncles that are visiting and whatnot, know that these places are going to be busy. So allow yourself extra time and remember to breathe and say, listen, I knew this was going to happen. I knew it was going to be busy. So if you know that something's going to happen, lots of times it's going to be less frustrating for you. So know that. Okay, so when you're in the parking lot, scan vigilantly, go slowly, because if you go slowly, it's going to give you better time to react. It's going to give you more time to scan and look for people and vehicles and children and all kinds of things that are running around in the parking lot. Because I was in one of the grocery stores today, Superstore here in Vernon, and I could not believe how busy it was. Like, I've been in Superstore before, but I've never seen it that busy, and it was really crazy busy. So, you know, and driving your shopping cart around in the grocery store, know that as well. The other thing that I suggest is that when you go into mall parking lots, back into the parking spot, because it's going to be easier to drive out of the parking spot than it is to back out of the parking spot, just because of the amount of traffic that's going to be in the parking lot. And if you don't know how to do that, or you're having some troubles with that, have a look at this video here, how to reverse stall park, and that'll give you some information and tips about that. All right, so reversing. When you're reversing out of the parking lot or in the parking lot or wherever, make sure, again, go slowly. That gives you time to manipulate the primary controls of the vehicle. It gives you time to observe, and it also gives you time to stop if something happens, okay? As you're coming up to your car and you're getting into your car, take note of the surroundings around your vehicle, all right? Take note of fixed objects, take note of other cars, take note of pedestrians and those types of things. That way when you're backing out, you've already got a rough idea of the surroundings and fixed objects around your vehicle, okay? So have a look at this video here. And for those of you going for your road test, this video on reversing, I did say you could take your seatbelt off for the purposes of your road test. I detract that statement, okay? For the purposes of your road test, leave your seatbelt on for the duration of your road test, okay? Because it just freaks examiners out when you do that. You can do it according to legislation, but examiners don't know that. So for the purposes of your road test, leave your seatbelt on. Now, for those of us in the Northern Hemisphere celebrating Christmas, it'll be winter driving. For my friend Lee there in Canberra, it's going to be the middle of summer, which for those of us from North America who've been in Australia, it's a little odd. It's not like going to Florida or Arizona where it's actually winter there. No, in Australia, it's actually the middle of summer at Christmas. So know that. So winter driving, the temperature is going to be around 0 and 32 degrees Fahrenheit for those of us in the Northern Hemisphere. And when the temperature is around freezing, know that it's going to be more slippery than in sub-zero temperatures. So again, know that you need to go slowly, you need to take your time and those types of things. All right, so I'm just going to pop back over here to the comments and see if anybody's got questions for me. All right. Okay. Oh, Lee, Yes, what's my two tops for adjusting to drive on the other side of the road? I made a video about that, Lee. One of my things is to be careful when there isn't any other traffic, because that's when it's going to be the most challenging for those of us driving on the other side of the road. So there you go. So know that, okay? And just follow the other traffic. That's going to be the best thing that I can say. Okay, so Santa Claus in my presentation. There we go. Yeah, imagine doing that at a busy bee. It can be challenging, but just take your time, go slowly, and make sure you're scanning, doing 360-degree scans. You're looking out the back window and those types of things. Okay, Jackson, you are most welcome. Anything we can do to help you be successful. All right, so we're gonna head back over to the presentation here. And driving in the wintertime. And again, if you haven't seen the video that I put up yesterday about 5 top reasons for losing control and having a crash in the wintertime, certainly have a look at that video. Okay. Load security. We're all going to go to the shops, we're all going to go to the malls, and we're going to buy stuff. We're going to buy lots of stuff. So make sure that you have some sort of load security plan in place. Okay. Do not put the refrigerator in the trunk of your Ford Taurus. All right, that's just not safe at all. And really, you just spend a lot of money on your fridge, so make sure that it's secured and tied down. The other thing is, for a small delivery fee, you can get it delivered by 2 big burly men with one eye in the middle of their forehead, and they'll bring it right into your house and install it for you and take the old one away. So know that as well, that you can. Most of these places will deliver it. Some of the places will even wrap it for you. Okay, so if you haven't brought your Christmas tree home yet, think about some sort of load security and being able to drive that vehicle. The other option is that you could rent a pickup truck for $30 or $40 for the day and use a pickup truck and bring it home. Okay, try not to shove it into your car. The other thing is that when you stuff items into your vehicle that aren't going to fit, you're going to break interior mirrors off and doorknobs and knobs and all kinds of other things. And you're just not going to be safe driving because you're in the vehicle all crunched up. And I know this from personal experience because I've shoved stuff in my vehicle that probably shouldn't be in my vehicle. The most important thing is, and I've mentioned this previously, is a time buffer. We're all incredibly busy. We're all working. We're going to Christmas parties and those types of things. Know that you're going to need a little bit more time when you're going to the mall and you're going shopping and those types of things. All right. If you're going to visit family and you're going on long trips, navigation and route planning. Think about navigation and route planning. Look at Google Maps. Get your maps out. Have a plan in place. Take 20 minutes, half an hour. It's going to save you a world of grief. Okay, plan your stops every couple of hours, especially if you're traveling with children. If you're traveling with children over the holidays, have activities for the children, coloring books. You can go to the library and get audiobooks that have books with the audiobook. You can put the CD into the player or the podcast or whatever you have, and they can look at the book and they can read along while you're driving. I know, of course, there's video games and those types of things, but I don't really agree with video games and videos and those types of things for driving. I would like to try and keep young minds active. And when you're planning stops, try and plan your stops at school playgrounds, at diners, delis, restaurants, and coffee shops and those types of places, so everybody can go in and use the toilet. And as well, the kids can get a bit of exercise, and then you get back in the car and you can carry on with your journey. Okay? Christmas parties. We're all going to have Christmas parties. And one of the things that I'm going to say, we all know about not drinking and driving. And one of the things I will say about not drinking and driving, you may be found not guilty in a court of law if you are charged by police for drinking and driving. One of the things I will say is that a $50 or $100 taxi cab, if you live a long way from the Christmas party, is going to seem fairly cheap if you have to fight a charge in court where you are, they're going to try and prosecute you. I talked to one gentleman a couple of years ago, and he said that he was found not guilty, but it still cost him $8,000 in legal fees, not to mention they took his license away in the time that he was fighting the charge. So know that as well. So plan a ride home before you start drinking, because we're going to make better decisions when we're not inebriated. So think about that before you start going. As well, if you haven't looked at it already, MAD's Contract for Life, for the young people who are watching here and getting their license, I do strongly encourage you to go over to my website. There's a link down in the description. Get MAD's Contract for Life. If you don't know what MAD is, it's Mothers Against Drunk Driving. It was started by Candy Leiter in 1989 after her daughter was killed by a drunk driver. So, MAD's contract for life. Excuse me, just a moment. Have a look at that, okay, and get that and sign it with your parents. And essentially, it's an agreement that either one of you, if you've been out drinking, they'll come and get you at any time of the day, any time of the morning, and there's no questions asked. So I do encourage you to really sign that. I really am a strong advocate of the contract for life. Finally, traffic. Know that if you're out in the early hours of the morning, you're out at midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning or 2 o'clock in the morning, and there's another vehicle driving erratically, there's a good chance that that driver behind the wheel is probably drunk, okay? So know that. And how do we get home from the holiday party? And there's a list of tips here, all right, of things that I suggest. And it's one of the things I love my mom about this. Get drunk and be somebody. Well, you could always fly home if you want to be a superhero. So that's one way you could do it. Take a taxi cab, as I said, compared to the cost you would incur to defend yourself in court. A taxi cab is going to seem pretty cheap, okay? Ride the bus. Get a designated driver, you know, and give them some money for cash, or give them some money for gas, rather, some cash for gas. You know, you can walk home, you can run home, but don't run in spurts, because, you know, running at a continuous pace is hard work. You know, crawl home, but make sure you dress warmly because it's going to be cold. And, you know, get your friend to, you know, give you a piggyback ride home. That's another way. Take the shuttle. Because a lot of these big corporate events and other places are going to have, they're either going to put you up in a hotel or they're going to have a shuttle. They're going to hire a shuttle to make sure that everybody gets home, especially here in Canada because we have liability laws and insurance and those types of things. All right, you could always stay over, and then that way, I mean, it's a big slumber party. And the other thing is in the morning you get a free breakfast. So that's another thing that you could do. And, you know, finally, number 12 is that... you go to the local pizza shop, order a pizza, have it delivered to your house, and then, you know, get a ride with the pizza delivery guy. That's another way that you can get home from the holiday party. All right, and then the last one, number 13, that's not really a tip. Don't fry bacon in the nude. That's not a tip at all. It's a good tip, but it's not a tip to get home after the party. All right, road rage. Okay, know that at Christmas, unfortunately, we're all not happy. We're not all jolly. Most people are, but not everybody. So there's going to be a bit of road rage when people are feeling that you are holding them up and in their way and those types of things. And know that people have a lot of things going on, thus the clocks and the time buffer there. So know that it's going to happen. Know that people are going to honk at you. People are going to get upset and they're going to be aggressive and those types of things. So know that if you know that something's going to happen, it's going to be less abrasive, or you know, it's going to be less jarring when it does happen. So breathe. The other thing is that for periods of aggression, if you do get into an incident of road rage, do not make eye contact, do not open the doors, lock the doors, don't make eye contact, because people can only stay angry for a couple of minutes and then they're just going to blow out, and then they're going to go back, they're going to calm down and get in their vehicle and carry on. All right. And one of the things you can do in terms of reducing the amount of frustration and reducing the amount of road rage at Christmas time is to plan your trips, okay? Instead of taking a few short trips, several short trips, got to go to the butcher shop, and then I got to go to the grocery shop, and then I got to go and get wrapping paper at the paper store and all those types of things. So just plan your trips accordingly and then go and do one big trip and get it out of the way, okay? Instead of making a whole bunch of shorter trips. That's going to help reduce some of your frustration and aggression as well. Okay, and then finally, courtesy. It's Christmas time. We're all going to be happy at Christmas time. And remember, to let somebody in or let somebody else to go first, it's not going to take any time out of your day to be nice to other people. So do that. So practice random acts of kindness, not just at Christmas time, but all year round. If you go to the local coffee shop, pay for the person behind you for their coffee. Here in Canada and other places, I know that you have to put money into the grocery cart to get it out of that stall there. When you put it back, leave the dollar in it or whatnot. And then, as I said at the beginning, let other traffic in and those types of things. And then finally, the other thing to be courteous to people is to simply smile, right? Because when you smile at people, people smile back in return. So that's one of the other things you can do in terms of being merry and being Christmassy and courteous, couldn't say that word, at Christmas time. All right, so for those of you taking a road test this week, good luck in your road test. And if not, we'll definitely see you in January. Happy holidays to all the smart drivers. And remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. So we'll head back over here and see how people are going here. All right. Oh, that's a bit big. Bear with me just one moment. There we go. Okay, and we're back. Uber is a good idea. That's awesome, Brillo. Yes. Am I dressing in Santa Claus? Use Uber if you're drinking and driving. For any driver, use public transit. Yes, that's a great idea. Thank you, Tiffany. Savannah. Ooh, Savannah, no. Do not put hot water on your windshield to get the frost off. Definitely not, because what you'll do, Savannah, is you'll crack the windshield because of the disparate temperatures between the hot water and the cold windshield. Yeah, definitely don't do that because it'll crack the windshield. All right, good question there. Do you have to reverse a transit bus? Tiffany, if you have to reverse a transit bus, it's going to be in a straight line or around a corner. You're not going to have to parallel park or something like that. Okay. What happened to my video feed? Rick, your video feed. Okay. Is my video feed? Oh, the comments. There we go. Thank you, Corey. There we go. Okay. This is why I have Corey, because he reminds me of the things I need to do. All right. Random acts of kindness. Yes, if you're watching this on the replay, or for those of you who are watching now, if you have any random acts of kindness, by all means, leave them in the comments there. And that way, you know, we can all practice random acts of kindness, because, you know, it's Christmas time, it's the time of year, being nice to people and those types of things. And as well, it changes our attitude, changes our outlook on life, and it makes us, you know, nicer and human and those types of things. So by all means, do all of that stuff. Okay, Matt. Can you give me some more tips for driving up and down a steep hill in a snow and ice covered road? Matt, one of the things I would suggest is if you can find a way around a steep hill that's got ice and snow on it, then I would definitely do that. As well, just go slow, look where you want to go. If the vehicle starts to break traction, you might have to reverse back down the hill. I have had that happen, but it was on a logging road in the mountains here where it was incredibly slippery, and the tires on my truck were not that good at that time. And even in four-wheel drive, with the four-wheel drives going forward, the vehicle was still going backwards, and essentially just got on the brakes and, you know, just kind of slid down the hill, and then it came to a stop. So yeah, one of the things you could do is simply find a way around. And as well, if you're going down the road and the brakes lock up and it gets slippery, you might have to get off the brakes and let it pick up speed and pick a point and just go and keep steering. Because look at the video that I put up yesterday about the crash, 5 reasons for crashing, and the buses are coming down the hill and they're not braking because they know if they start braking, they're not going to be able to have steering. So know that as well in terms of going uphill and downhill in the wintertime. We're still working the bugs out on the new computer here. There we go. Okay, we're back. Yes. Yeah, Matt. When you put hot water on your door, it's just going to freeze up again. It's not going to help you out. Because if you put water in there, it's as soon as you shut the vehicle off and there's no heat anymore, that is just going to freeze up. You can actually buy lock de-icer, and it's actually an alcohol variation. And the reason you want to use an alcohol, because it freezes at a much, much lower temperature than water. Water freezes at 0 degrees, whereas some of these compounds that they have in these lock de-icers won't freeze until -15 or something like that. So that's a lot better. Luad, when should I decide to pass a double parked car if they don't have hazard lights on? 2 times the double parked cars began accelerating as I was beside them. I'm just trying to figure out. I'm not really following you, Luad, when you're talking. Oh, double park. So there's a vehicle beside another car parked on the road. Okay, so what you need to do is you just need to come up, wait a moment behind them, and then if they don't go, then you sort of need to figure it out. You know, it's kind of one of those discretionary things about whether you're going to go or whether you're going to stay back behind them and those types of things. Yeah, okay, so that's going to be a bit it's a tough call in terms of people who are double parked and those types of things. Okay, Edwin, it's really foggy here in Shreveport. Any advice on driving on foggy roads at night? Yes, Edwin, the same tips for night driving in the night driving video all apply to driving in foggy weather. And the other thing about driving in foggy weather is make sure you use your low beams at night. If your vehicle is equipped with fog lights, use those as well. Drive slowly. Make sure you look for the reflective signs along the roadway, and as well make sure you look as far as you can into the fog to look for other vehicles, so that you're not going to run up on them and you're not going to rear end somebody else. So that's what some of the tips of driving in the fog as well. Shreveport, Edwin, it probably doesn't get very cold there. Ice and snow, it probably isn't something that you really have to worry too much about down there in Louisiana. Okay. Ashimer is watching the stream in his car. That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, and Corey pointed out here, if you're driving on ice and snow and you're driving a manual transmission, yes, this is one of the other things that you can do. Instead of starting off in first gear, put it into second gear and start off into second gear, and that will help you to get traction to get the vehicle going in the wintertime in snow and ice. That will help you as well. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Okay. Apologies. Okay, so Brillo light. Suppose that I have to stop before the stop sign, but the line to stop on the road is after the sign. Those marks confuse me. No, Brillo light, the position of the stop sign along the roadway does not indicate where you stop for the purposes of stopping at a stop signed intersection. You have to stop where the stop line is, that big, thick, white line. And have a look at the video here on 3 stopping positions for stop signed intersections. And essentially for the 3 positions at a stop signed intersection, it's before the stop line, before the sidewalk, before the sidewalk, which the crosswalk lines are. And if there aren't any crosswalk lines, just before the sidewalk. And if there isn't a stop line and there isn't crosswalk or a sidewalk, then where the 2 roads meet. So you'll see kind of the line there on the roadway, and you basically come up, so just the nose of the car is right at the edge of the road there where the 2 roads meet. So those are the 3 stopping positions. And if you stop at the stop line for the purposes of stopping at a stop signed intersection and you can't see the cross traffic, then you have to move up, you have to creep up until you can see and treat it as a yield. Sometimes you will have to come to a stop if there's traffic approaching, but if there isn't traffic coming, then after you've come to a complete stop at the correct position, you can simply go after that point. Okay? Ashimer, do you have to use hand-over-hand steering every time? In most places, Ashimer, you do have to use hand-over-hand steering for the purposes of your road test. However, as I recommend, go to a local driving school, talk to some people at the local driving school, driving instructors, and they'll tell you specifically if you have to use hand-over-hand or whether you can use hand-to-hand. For the most part, you have to, for the purposes of a road test, you do have to have 2 hands on the steering wheel, whether that's hand-to-hand or hand-over-hand, okay? And a local driving school would be able to give you that specific information. All right? Edwin, oh yes it does. It's cold right now. So since you're in Louisiana and it is cold, as Edwin has just mentioned, it's probably more dangerous to drive in Louisiana when the temperature is around 0, because it makes all of that fog and whatnot, you drop a layer of water onto the roadway and it creates a thin sheen of ice on the roadway. So it's going to be more difficult, and because it's slipperier in Louisiana when the temperature is around freezing than it is up here when it's minus 15 or whatnot, because you actually get a bit of grip on the roadway. So know that as well. What do I think of traction control for auto cars? Actually, Corey, I'm going to be very honest with you. I don't have a great deal of experience with traction control. My understanding is that traction control works exceptionally well on dry pavement. I don't think it works as well in snow and ice in the winter time, because there's just too many variables going on snow and ice. There's too much slippage and those types of things that are going to affect how the vehicle handles. And I know a lot of people, when they get into snow and ice in the wintertime, actually turn it off. And you know, that's the other thing with the Mastermind group over at Facebook. I mean, that's one of the things that we could have a discussion about, because there's some things that I just don't have experience with because I've been driving older cars. I don't have experience with traction control. So, you know, we could have a discussion about that with other smart drivers. So, there we go. Carlos comes from Stack Overflow terminology. What is Stack Overflow? I've seen that somewhere, Carlos, but I don't know exactly what it is. Okay. FY, one for random acts of kindness was a like for your point on random acts. I'm not following you, Carlos. Sorry. Okay, there we go. All right. I think it's going to be a short live feed tonight because we don't have too many people asking questions. I know we're coming up to Christmas, so probably not too many people are doing their road test at coming up to Christmas, because I remember when I worked at the driving school, it got really, really quiet in the winter time, at Christmas time rather. Yeah, that's a good point, Matt. Yes, they don't have a great deal of snow removal equipment in Louisiana, that's for sure. And I can say the same thing about Vernon here. A couple of years ago, we got 36 inches of snow in a couple of days. And I think in a lot of places that snow here stayed for a long time, because most of the snow removal equipment we have are all belly plows, and belly plows are good for a slight skim of snow, but they're not very good for removing big amounts of snow. And I know those little skid steers, they worked a lot of time trying to clear some of the snow and that sort of thing. So Ashimer, every driving, do you have to use hand over hand? Ashimer, no, not in everyday driving. After you get your license, you can dispense with that. The whole hand over hand comes with part of control of the vehicle, and the faster you drive, you're going to find that you have two hands on the wheel, and it's going to give you better control. It's a technique that comes from racing. It also has stayed around with passenger vehicles, because up until 10 or 15 years ago, we didn't have pervasive power steering in all of these vehicles. Most of these vehicles now all have power steering. So that's sort of where all of that comes from as well. That's something that driving examiners want to see, that you have due care and control of the vehicle. And it's essentially, can you fulfill the requirements of driving the vehicle, keeping two hands on the wheel, scanning properly, maintaining speed control, staying away from other objects and those types of things while you're driving. So it's just part of all of that. So no, after you get your license, no, by all means, you've probably seen me drive a couple of times in some of the videos where I'm not doing a road test, and I basically just have one hand on the wheel. Hey Sam, yeah, you're kind of late for class, but that's all good. Sam is here. Sam works for Rookie Auto Driving School in the Bronx. He works for Rookie Auto Driving School in the Bronx there in New York City. So that's Sam, and his handle is Jericho Arroyo with the eagle on the American flag there. That's Sam. So hi there, Sam. Okay, so Tiffany just mentioned, so see, Tiffany, this is why you need to come over and join the Mastermind group over at Facebook, because traction control, as you say here, works well in the SUV better than in the car. Okay, so Tiffany, what kind of SUV are you driving that you find that the traction control works well? Because obviously it's going to vary a little bit between models of vehicles. Okay, Matt, I have a 2014 car where you can turn the traction control off and on. Matt, how do you find the traction control in your car there? Okay, Busy Bee, I was always very scared to lose control of the vehicle when driving on curvy roads and went really very slow. Now with the snow and ice, how slow is acceptable? Busy Bee, remind me, Busy Bee, do you have your license at this juncture? Have you passed your road test? Carlos, no more millennial terminology. Hey, Carlos, I pay for stuff with my phone. There we go. Okay, Carlos, you like my point about random acts of kindness during Christmas. There we go. Thank you, Carlos. That's great. Okay, so no snow removal. There we go. Yep. Oh, Ashimer, that is a tough question. You are asking me, how fast do you drive in snow? That's a little bit like asking me how long is a piece of string. No, it depends. Okay, so let me talk a little bit about driving in snow. In the wintertime, Ashimer, the farther you get off the main roads, the more snow there's going to be. So you're going to be able to slow down in suburban areas and those types of things. Okay, on the main roads, you're still going to drive the same speed most of the time, okay? because the roads are going to be clear and those types of things. And if you got, you know, a front-wheel drive vehicle or an all-wheel drive vehicle or four-wheel drive, and you got decent tires in your vehicle, you're going to be driving the posted speed limit and those types of things. Just know that you're going to be able to go, you're going to have to go a little bit slower when you get into snow and ice and on the main roads and those types of things. I mean, don't go incredibly slow, but you're going to have to slow down a little bit. And where you're really going to have to slow down is on curves, corners, and turns, because the point that I made in the video yesterday that I put up is oftentimes many cars are going too fast in curves, corners, and turns, and that's when they lose control, because what happens is they start going around the corner, the vehicle gets out of that straight line, and as soon as the back end starts coming around and it's slippery already, you're going to lose traction. The other thing is that when drivers go around corners, oftentimes they're susceptible to putting their foot on the brake, and as soon as you put your foot on the brake on a curve in snow and ice, the back end of the vehicle lifts up, you shift the momentum or the equilibrium of the weight in the vehicle to the front of the vehicle, the back end lifts up and starts to come around. So curves, corners, and turns, definitely slow down before you get to those in the wintertime, and that's going to help you out in driving, okay? So 2 points there. First, the farther you get away from the main roads in the wintertime, the more snow and ice there's going to be, so you're going to have to slow down. Now, on the straight, it's going to be pretty good, but on curves, corners, and turns, make sure you slow down before you actually get there, and that way you're going to be safer in the wintertime in the snow, okay? Tiffany drives a Mercury Mariner. Tiffany, I don't even know what that is. That's odd, because I know what most vehicles are. Okay, so a Mercury Mariner. I'm going to have to look that up, Tiffany, because now I'm intrigued. Okay. And Rick, thank you for your vids. You are most welcome. I believe that's in Greek, so I don't read Greek. But thank you so much for that. Okay. Traction control is good. Yes, as Sam said, there are so many variables when driving in any conditions, and it's difficult because every situation requires different factors, different considerations, and different techniques and tips, or techniques and information that you need to be able to process that correctly and meet the situation and the challenges of that driving situation, as Sam just said. Okay, when to steer while making a turn in two-way narrow street. Okay, John, one of the things you're going to have to do is when you're going in a narrow street, you're going to have to slow down. That way it's the vehicle's going to turn sharper, you're going to have more time to observe, and you're going to have more time to manipulate the primary controls of the vehicle. Okay, Matt, is there a button right back? I had a chance to use it now that I live in an area with more snow. It might come in handy. Matt, are you talking about the traction control, or are you talking about the parking brake? Umar, I'm good. How are you? All-wheel drive. Umar, do you have access to an all-wheel drive vehicle, or you just have a rear-wheel drive vehicle? Because all-wheel drive obviously is going to be a little bit better in the snow than just a rear-wheel drive. Okay, Randall, what car do you recommend for a first-time driver? Well, Randall, I'm biased, and I'm gonna openly tell you that. I'm personally very biased to Hondas and Toyotas. Okay, so those are for first-time people. If you can get a hold of a older Honda or an older Toyota, I think those will serve you well. Randall, are you looking for a second-hand vehicle, or are you looking for a new vehicle? Because that will also influence my recommendation for you. Okay, the parking brake. Matt, yeah, you can use the parking brake in the wintertime. I do suggest you use the parking brake all the time. If it does get down exceptionally cold, like sub-zero temperatures, minus 25, minus 30, all right, then I might caution you not to put it on because the brakes might freeze. But I've never had that issue here, so, okay, that's one of the things to do. Oh, there we go, Matt. Mercury Mariner's the same thing as a Ford Escape. Okay, so the Ford Escapes, the Mercury Mariners, are working really well for the traction control. Oh, that's really good information. But different features. Okay, yeah. No, essentially they're more or less the same. One's Mercury, one's a Ford. Yes, and there's different features. Yeah. It's comparable to the difference between Honda and Acura. They're both the same vehicle, but one's different than the other. Acura is the high-end Honda, whereas Mercury is the high-end Ford. So there's a little bit of history for you. Ashimer, what's the difference between a sedan and a compact? A sedan is a 4-door, and a compact is a smaller version. So a compact car can either be a 2-door, which could be a coupe, or it could be a sedan, okay? Corey's going to ask me whether Toyota or Honda. I think either one's going to serve you well. I wouldn't recommend one over the other, but they're both good vehicles. You know, I would drive either one. So there, and Raquel is in upstate New York. She has both a Honda Civic and a CRV. And how old are your Honda Civic and your CRV, Raquel? And I think the live feed is buffering here. Is it actually buffering? So, Randall, I'm looking for a used car. Maybe when I get more experience, I'll change to a brand new car. Yeah, no, so Randall, what I would suggest is to look for a Honda or a Toyota, and I think that will serve you well. Okay, and Carlos has a Toyota Prius. How is the Prius treating you, Carlos? Is it doing all right for your first car? All right. Okay, so we're getting into 45 minutes here. We got a couple more questions. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap up, and I'll just leave it here. And for anybody, if you like the live feed, give it a thumbs up. And by all means, be sure to subscribe to the channel if you're working towards a license, starting your career as a truck or bus driver, or looking to stay crash free for your driving career as a veteran driver. By all means, be sure to subscribe. Okay, so it's a used vehicle. Do you like the Toyota Prius, Carlos? Have you had any problem with it? Yes, Savannah, I do have some tips and suggestions about buying a vehicle from a used car lot. One of the things that I would suggest to you, and one of the first and most important things, is to do a Carfax or a history report on the vehicle. The other thing I suggest to you is take the vehicle to an independent mechanic and have them do an inspection on it. If the car lot won't let you do that, that's the first thing that's questionable. The second thing that I would suggest is if you do take it to an independent mechanic, get that done, that's also going to help you out, okay? That's going to let you know whether it needs new brakes, it needs new tires, and those types of things, okay? Okay, so Raquel, Civic is 2005 and the CRV is a 2010. The older ones are better. Yeah, I have a 1999 or 1998 Honda CRV. It's got 300,000 kilometers on it. I mean, it needs a bit of work. Like, it needs a new exhaust and those types of things, but it's a good vehicle. I bought it when it had 250,000 kilometers on it. It served me well. For the amount of money that I paid for it, it does not owe me anything, okay? Carlos, 11 the Prius is 11 years old. The only thing is sometimes smells like gas out of the exhaust. Yeah, and I mean, for an 11-year-old vehicle, I mean, that's something to be expected, okay? Matt drives a 2014 Ski-On, owned by Toyota. There you go. Okay, fun to drive and really great on gas. And I mean, that's another consideration when you're buying a used vehicle. And just going back to Savannah's question there for just a moment about buying a used vehicle, the other thing you want to do, Savannah, is it fun to drive? Do you like driving it? Does it have good tires on it? Are the tires up to spec and those types of things? But if you take it to an independent mechanic, that's something that the independent mechanic is going to be able to tell you and those types of things, okay? So that's one of the things that I do. So do a history report on it. Look on the internet, compare prices, make sure that the price is comparable to other vehicles of that vintage for sale, and then take it to an independent mechanic and get them to have a look at it for you. Grills Mistake. Are you going to post this stream as a video too, so people can watch the whole thing if they missed the stream? I've only been watching for 10 minutes. Yes, Grills Mistake, I do. Yes, I do. I post the video up on the channel, and the other thing that I do is I do highlights of the live stream as well, so it'll be available to you for sure. Yep, do all that. Excellent. Thanks for asking that. Ashimer, what's my opinion of the 2014 Camry? The Camry, I think, Ashimer, is a good car. I think you're going to do fine, which is my car. Yeah, no, that's a good car. I think it's a good vehicle. Yeah. Okay, Savannah, you're most welcome. Sam. Oh, and Sam was saying that he teaches in Prius and Corollas. Okay, and yes. So they're good cars as well. Okay, so Sam and I last week in the live feed were talking about that New York City's DOT, Department of Transportation, is recommending that people within New York City are making turns at 5 miles per hour. And this is what Sam is teaching for the purposes of teaching people how to drive in New York City and in the Bronx. And I'll tell you, 5 miles an hour feels really slow, I'll tell you, because even at 10 or 12 miles an hour, it feels slow. But, okay, know that anybody in New York City taking a road test, you have to slow down to 5 miles an hour, because this is now a suggestion on the part of the New York City Department of Transportation. Okay, Rovi. Oh, that's awesome. Congratulations, Rovi, for passing your road test there in Indiana. Rovi, I don't really know about the 2006 Chevy Equinox. We can ask the other smart drivers, does anybody else know about the 2006 Chevy Equinox? Do you have any ideas or thoughts about that vehicle? Rovi's asking that question. Okay, Johnny, what's the speed limit on making turns in neighborhoods? Because when I turn, I make wide turns. Okay, Johnny, one of your things that you can change that will help you with bringing your turns in tighter is to slow down. Okay, bring it down to 10 miles an hour, maybe even 5 to 10 miles an hour, and that way you'll have more control of the vehicle. When we speed up, the vehicle doesn't turn as sharp, and you make a wider turn. Okay, so definitely slow down, and that way you'll be able to make your turns better for the purposes of preparing for your road test. Okay. Okay, so John was making turns at 5 to 10 miles an hour, and an instructor took off points, so that's unfortunate. But you know, John, the other thing is this is a policy that's coming down from the New York City Department of Transportation. Okay. Yeah, Carlos, huge queue. Yeah. Okay. And where are you, John? Sam was asking that. Tiffany, I was taught 20 years ago in a Toyota Corolla. Yes, in Queens. Okay, there we go. Kinergetic, hello, I appreciate all the videos you make. It's really helping me. That's really great. We're glad the information is helping. And what should I do to get my... Okay, so Kinergetic, whatever you can do. If you can get in a truck with somebody else, you can go for a ride along and those types of things. You know, just anything you can do to get into a vehicle and drive it. Even if you're going for a CDL license and you're driving a tractor trailer and you get into a bus or you get into a dump truck or you get into a cube van, whatever you can do to drive, okay, is all of that's going to help you with getting your CDL license and being better prepared to get a license. Okay. Okay, so Tiffany says Chevy has a lot of problems. So get something else. Okay, so what we can do is, what I would suggest is anybody who's looking at a particular vehicle or looking at a particular model or brand, this is some of the other stuff that we can discuss over at the Mastermind group, and other people can give you ideas and opinions. Now, the other thing in terms of the Chevy Equinox and other vehicles, by all means, do a Google search on them here on the internet, and that will give you lots of good information, because other people will post reviews and tell you whether they're good or bad. And if you're having problems with your vehicle, I tell you, people are more than willing. I mean, the Ford 6-liter, for example, is nicknamed the Ford Sick-liter. I know lots of people who have rebuilt those engines and spent $10,000, $12,000, $15,000 to rebuild those engines. It was not one of Ford's better engines. Okay? All right. There we go. Okay, Ashmer, when driving, do you have to be able to see the hood of the car? Ashmer, I don't understand what you mean in terms of being able to see the hood of the car. You should be able to see the hood of the car, some of the hood of the car out a little bit farther and those types of things. But yes, it's part of your setup and getting into the vehicle and those types of things. Okay, so we got another rash of questions. I'm going to hang around for comments for a little bit. By all means, ask me questions. I'll be around for a couple of minutes, but I'm going to end it there. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. Congratulations to everybody who passed a road test last week. If you have a road test coming up in the next week, good luck on that road test. And happy holidays. Head over to Facebook, join the Mastermind group, look at the courses, get your coupons, and sign up for those courses and be successful and pass your road test first time over at the Smart Drive Test website. So thanks again for showing up. Good luck on your road test. And remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. Have a good night. Bye now.